Greetings everyone, my name is Napoleon Complex. I go by Ludendorf in the Slitherine forums. Welcome back to the Field of Glory and welcome back to the 20th anniversary Slitherine tournament. My opponent, DanZanzibar, is playing the Western Huns with Germanic foot tribe allies, and I am playing the Roman 425 to 492 AD list. So this is the last Roman army before the fall of Rome. It is when they have shifted into a fully defensive posture. But I've set up aggressively today with a checkerboard of tough defensive infantry and lightly armoured but effective noble lancers in the centre. And this is a defensive formation. I'll go through the list briefly. The Romans have access to an excellent mixture of cavalry. They have access to a strong mixture of lancers, horse archers, and medium cavalry, and whatever your mounted needs are, they can get pretty much everything accomplished. Lancers are good for closing to grips quickly with the enemy cavalry line, breaking through and then sweeping around the flanks, or to be used to charge wobbly enemy medium infantry or low quality heavy infantry who might suddenly fall to a sudden charge, so they're breakthrough units. They are particularly effective against horse archers if they can force a close range charge against those horse archers. The horse archers either have to run away, which means they risk being caught in the back, or they have to stand there and take a massive impact malus. And often the noble lancers are better equipped for melee as well after that, being superior and usually either armoured or protected. The medium melee cavalry, the veteran Roman cavalry, and the much more mediocre Roman cavalry. And by the standards of cavalry, these guys are basically the raw rabble that you throw in. The way I see best fit to use these is as flanking forces. You want them to sweep around the sides of the enemy and then charge into the flanks when they're occupied with the lancers and trying to deal with the horse archers, because they are quite vulnerable to getting shot at by arrow fire, so you don't want to charge them straight at horse archers. They do not have they have lower impact capabilities compared to the lancers, although you can use them against massed archers on rough ground. That's something I've learned recently. So their best use is as flanking forces. You want to use their mobility to get right around the enemy line and then get into the backs of the enemy soldiers. Don't try to use them in a stand-up fight. And finally we have the horse archers, which range from expert armoured horse archers, which are superior and armoured. That's as good as horse archers get, superior quality as well, down to the nomad horse archers, which are just your average protected bow-armed cavalry, who will lose quite badly to other more superior cavalry if they're allowed to get into melee, and they'll certainly lose on impact due to the lack of light spears. They are swordsmen, however, so they can defend themselves, and so you want to use these, I think, just to the right or to the left of the lancers. And their job is, just before melee starts, they turn to face the cavalry further in, shoot their bows, and then try to score some chance disruptions before the lancer lines close. And so these are placed somewhere between your flanking medium cavalry and your lancers, though I suppose you could put them on the extreme flanks as well and try to have them fire in to soften the enemy up and make life easier for the medium cavalry. But I think they're better off used to directly support the lancers. And again, I think they are best used against enemy cavalry. Once the enemy cavalry are dead, they can be used to harass and disrupt infantry. But while the enemy cavalry are hunting around, they are extremely dangerous to the horse archers, and you're better off focusing on chopping off the enemy cavalry flanks first and then working into the infantry if you're playing a horse archer army. We have a decent selection of light horse, and I could have brought, with my Allen allies, I could have brought 4 units of nomad light horse archers. I've decided just to go for 1 unit of light horse archers, but this would have made a good light horse archer wing. I tend to find that the nomad light horse archers are overpriced. If you want to just use your light cavalry in flanking actions, the light javelin horse do that perfectly serviceably, and I tend to find that I prefer to stand off and pick people apart with my light horse archers. and so I tend not to make so much use of the nomad light horse archers. You can sometimes bring one unit of nomad light horse archers to anchor the line of your cavalry, of your light horse line, and of course if they can charge into disrupted enemy heavy cavalry, then they can be quite effective with their swordsman capabilities, especially if they can do that in conjunction with other supporting medium or heavy cavalry, which have the enemy engaged as well, because they can cause a multiple melee penalty on the enemy army and gain an advantage that way. But I tend to find that enemy light cavalry, if you try and get them in melee with these guys, they can just dance out the way or keep away from them. And over time, the numbers difference will tell, and they won't be able to. They don't gain any extra firepower from this extra 8 points you have to spend on them compared to light horse archers. 40 points, that's enough for a medium quality, for a medium, an average quality medium foot unit. And so there's really no reason to use these guys against enemy lights, I think. They are better off kept in reserve and used against the enemy heavy cavalry. And a flanking action, but as I say, the light javelin horse can do that role perfectly well and for a more cost-effective price, in my opinion. Moving on to the infantry, we have some good choice again. We have Limitani, who are basically line fillers. They are best hidden behind your better defensive units. The Roman infantry in this period is very defensive, with the exception of the warbands, who with their impact foot status can be used aggressively. But the real role of the Roman infantry at this time is to hold the centre in a defensive line and just hold there and wait until the cavalry have won on the flanks and have closed down the flanks of the enemy infantry. And that's reflected in their unit types. The Limitani are interesting because they are only 24 points. They are very weak units. They're only raw, protected light spears. But with heavy foot, they do have that cohesion bonus out in the open. And if you can keep them protected, or if you can avoid them taking too bad a shock on impact, they can hold out for a surprisingly long period of time. And these units are here to hold the enemy up in key places, or to allow you to pad out your numbers and pad out your line. And they're basically there to tie up enemy numbers. And if you can tie up just about anything with a unit of Limitani, even just by their existence here, meaning they can support my Legio Comitatenses if anything does go wrong for them, these units are incredibly valuable to have, and I love seeing units of 24-point infantry in a list, because it means that I can have a very long line, and it gives my it means I don't have to sacrifice numbers out in the flanks. I can still bring all kinds of horrible things to destroy my opponents on the flanks, but I've still got the strength in the centre if I just arrange my troops well enough to support the Limitani and keep them protected. We have the Legio Comitatenses. Now these are dart-armed troops. They are by this point the Roman army is using the Plumbata dart as opposed to the pilum. So these darts and alongside their light spear capability mean that they get an amazing POA bonus against enemy infantry and cavalry on impact. Though they do have to watch out for enemy impact foot. And so these units are here to hold the line and protect against enemy charges, and that's really their only purpose. They're not completely incapable of attack. With their light spear 80%, they are capable of launching attacks, but with only 80% light spear, they're likely to suffer an impact malus on the offensive against most enemy infantry that have the light spear capability themselves. They'll certainly suffer trying to charge impact foot. But they can they can stop just about any lancer charge. I think even cataphracts would struggle to break a unit of Legio Comitatenses from the front. And they do very well defensively against enemy infantry too, and that's why they're in front of my Limitani, to protect against any infantry or cavalry charge. The warbands, as I said, obviously they're very effective offensively if you can get them into a unit of vulnerable medium or average quality heavy unit. Then their impact bonus and their large number size means they can either break the enemy in impact with their shock bonus or grind them down through numbers. However, they are also useful defensively when there are enemy warbands on the field, or enemy impact foot on the field, and as you can see there are 2 units of impact foot, particularly the superior warband, which I'm particularly worried about here. Hopefully the warbands can, because they're impact foot themselves, they won't suffer too badly in the initial melee. They'll be able to hold their ground long enough to win the battle, and if I do face warbands that I'm too worried about, I can also bring up these noble lancers to block. And while I downplayed warbands' effectiveness against lancers, that's only if the warbands are unsupported. If the warbands are supported and have the protection of, have the hope that flanking forces will eventually come around to rescue them, they can hold their ground quite well against lancers as long as they don't lose the impact battles, or as long as they don't try to charge the lancers as well. If they can just stand there and take, I think it's about a 10% chance of loss, 30% if you're unfortunate enough to face armoured lancers, but I should be able to tie up any armoured lancers with these units. Then again, they're good line holders, and the reason I place them here is they can potentially protect me against both warbands and against enemy lancer charges. Though in emergencies, I do have these noble lancers as well to move up against. They'll block any warband charges, or at least force them to charge at a major disadvantage. But the warbands are there to protect the noble lancers from heavier enemy lancers, say if we face armoured noble lancers, and also protect against enemy horse archer fire, because they'll be able to absorb missiles quite well. So that's, the warbands really are there as all-round or defensive infantry today. They're not part of my offensive plans. So that's how I'm going to be using them today. I am a little bit worried about armoured noble lancers. I might send in my noble lancers. They might have a better chance of winning that fight. But if my opponent squandered his armoured noble lancers on a central charge, then he's going to have a very hard time stopping all of this. And that's my rationale there. Even if the armoured noble lancers are sent, it's going to be a very expensive use for those units trying to break through these warbands on their own. What does worry me is if he gets a lucky charge with his noble lancers and fragments a unit suddenly, that could cause chaos. And I might want to leave some space between my front line and my back line in that case, just to make sure that these units breaking suddenly doesn't cause cohesion problems for my noble lancers, who will then have to form the reserve. We have, over on the flanks here, we have the Auxilia Palatina and the Irregular Foot. So the Auxilia Palatina are excellent quality medium troops. They are defensive medium troops. Again, they are bow and dart armed, so they're not meant to go charging off into anything other than mediocre enemy mediums. But they are superior quality, so they can attack, and eventually they will gain an advantage due to their superior swordsman capability against average quality enemy medium infantry. And they can obviously defend very well, so they're useful for holding areas of rough ground, which are plentiful over here. I'm mindful of using them on these 2 spots here. We also brought a unit of regular foot. They're really just there to fill the line. These Auxilia Palatina are strong enough to hold this hill position, and we can hide our regular foot in the woods. If we're facing a swarm of horse archers, I've brought some ranged units as well to support them. We've got some light horse archers over here. So this is, again, a holding action. I think the Huns would be foolish to commit to an attack on the sector, given that there's so much rough ground around, and a single unit of Auxilia Palatina could hold up a Hunnic cavalry charge forever, basically here. But Dan may be planning to surprise me today with some kind of attack over this sector of the battlefield here, and he could even try and lock me down here and swing right around the back, troops right around the back into my line. So I do need to have something here as a holding force to make sure that I control this area of the battlefield, and he can't just cross it uncontested. So that's my plan there. Finally, we have, and I've been over the Roman cavalry. Having a brief look at the Hunnic Western list. So they have warbands as part of their Germanic foot tribe allies, and particularly they have a superior warband here. Now what I'm worried about here is that these impact foot could be used to break through either the warbands or the Legio Comititensas, and that will let lancers into charge my Libertani and my noble lancers. So that's why I have the lancers in the center and not out on the flanks. It's so that I can move something out to block these warbands if they prove to be too dangerous. Now, Dan could thwart that with his own lancers, in which case we just end up with a lancer fight and infantry fighting in the center, cavalry fighting in the center, and it'll be decided on the flanks. But hopefully that will at least allow me to engage in equal terms. And hopefully, if he's brought the wrong unit mix, it will allow me to block him completely. But what I'm hoping for is that he'll bring all warbands or all lancers, and without support from other units, I will be able to stonewall that particular unit type just by moving up the right unit. If it's warbands, I move up my lancers. If it's lancers, I move up my warbands and legio comitatenses. And in this case, I just hold on the hill and protect the center, the sector of the battlefield, because the Limitani can't do anything. They just have to be kept at the back. But they are at least there, present, and offering some protection. I would put them over here and put this unit here, but the Legio Comitatenses are also needed to protect the Roman Auxilia Sagittariorum units as well. Going back here, we have... Right, so I've been over... There are also noble lancers, and as I said, I'm worried about the lancers and the warbands working together in order to tie down my list. Our particular worry is the superior warbands and the Hunnic armoured noble lancers working together here. Say he puts a superior warband unit here with 2 units of armoured noble lancers here, or the same arrangement here. No, that wouldn't be so effective because the Legio Comitatenses would still offer some protection against an armoured noble lancer charge here. But I would say the biggest threat is a superior warband here and 2 armoured noble lancer units here charging at me here. And if I see that coming, I might want to continue with my flank attack, but actually draw my warbands and cavalry back towards the forest. And that would nullify the effect of that cavalry charge because they'd be attacking into woods. Everyone's severely disordered in woods. The effect of the charges from the superior warbands and the armoured noble lancers would be completely cancelled out, and I could hold them there until the flank attacks went in, at which point they'd be even more vulnerable. So that is one option I could take if my opponent does place armoured noble lancers here. I should mention that remember, I'll be fighting the other side of this. This is a severe mismatch for the Huns. The Romans have so many options for locking down the Hunnic army, and the Huns units are just too expensive, I think, to make up a line long enough to flank the Romans. So the Hunnic general has to be very clever to win this matchup, and the Roman general only has to be have a good enough understanding of the unit combinations in order to counter the Hunnic army effectively. So this is an uphill battle for the Huns. Moving on to the more dangerous specialized Hunnic units, we have the fierce nomad horse archers. Now these are dangerous missile troops. With 9 of them and with superior status, they can rain fire upon the enemy. However, they cost 56 points apiece, and if my opponent brings too many warbands and lances in order to hold the center, then the superior horse archers won't be able to stretch far enough to counter this cavalry attack, and I'll be able to break through with the lancers, which the horse archers are very vulnerable to, and I'll just be able to sweep around. And if my opponent doesn't bring enough lancers to cover the middle of the battlefield, then I will simply be able to lock down the superior horse archers from the front, and then my cavalry can go around the flanks and get them that way, and he won't have enough to cover his line. So really caught between a rock and a hard place there. And there are some armoured noble lancers, there are some extra armoured horse archers, but it's mostly the same. Again, just not enough troops to cover the front, especially because Dan is forced to bring some of the fierce light horse archers. Now these could be effective in a swarm, but again, 48 points, very expensive. That's sacrificing parts of his line which he needs to cover the front, and I think these guys will just end up being driven out the way and either driven off the back of the map or eventually caught in melee and cut down. They're just not appropriate for this fight, I think, and too expensive for the role. Dan does have access to a good swarm of light archers, so if the light archers were deployed out here, or perhaps over here, then he could wear down one of my flanks and potentially get a breakthrough. But the rough ground makes that Very hard going for any Hunnic cavalry charge over here, and I don't think you can stop all of this with just light archers. So I'm not really sure how the Huns are going to counter this, but I've been wrong before. Let's see what Dan can do. So I'll be back once I've set up my generals. Okay, so we've got a commander of the left who is commanding the mediums on the rough ground and is also taking charge of the Legio Comitatenses and the Roman Auxilia Sagittariorum. We have our commander-in-chief in the centre where he is traditionally placed in my armies. He should have more units than this. Hold on a second. Moving on to the horse, we have a commander of the heavy troops. I think I'll just rearrange this briefly to include the expert armoured horse archers. They are commanding 5 units. And we have a commander of the light wing. So we have a heavy brigade who commands the 1 warband and the lancers and expert armoured horse archers. And we have a light brigade which command the nomad horse archers and the Roman cavalry. And that's it. Next turn. Let's get on with it. Dan is apparently a big fan of Total War, which I like as well. Well, I'm not here to talk about Total War, I'm here to talk about Field of Glory, so despite what he says in the comments, I will not get involved in a Total War Total War argument today. I have to stay focused, somewhat professional. We are looking at skirmishers, lots of skirmishers. So he's brought 5 units of archers, that's pretty much as expected. The Huns really need that sheep fire support to be effective, I think. The army is smaller than I expected. I've not as many warbands in the centre as I feared. I can block these with my lancers, hopefully. Mixed, right, noble lancers with horse archers on the edges. I think I should be able to lock that down with a medium foot. Quite a formidable force on the right flank, actually. Right. So what I'm already thinking is I'm going to have to be aggressive with the troops over here. I need to use them to full effectiveness because there's nothing contesting me over here. So what I want to do is I want to get these ranged units shooting into those vulnerable nomad horse archers. I want to get these units around the flanks to threaten these warbands. Because the cavalry battle is now an open question. I do have the help of those armoured noble lancers. See that if they come along here, they'll crush these noble lancers. I might want to move my Roman lancers over here to confront that. Right. So let's consider what we're facing and what I've got in reserve. You see, with this Hunnic concentration of power over here, he's got armoured noble lancers, and he's probably got a second unit of them. Yeah, 2 units of armoured noble lancers. That ties up my 2 of my own units of armoured noble lancers. I can gain an advantage against his noble lancers or his horse archers with my reserve unit of armoured noble lancers, provided that they don't get disrupted. And I do have the expert armoured horse archer to fall back on, but I think he'll probably... Yeah, I can probably get an advantage with my own unit of armoured horse archers, but if his fierce nomad horse archers, or even worse, his lancers get into amongst these nomad horse archers, we're going to be in trouble. Let's take a look. He will need to commit some infantry to... I think actually what I'm probably best off doing is taking my lancers, but then he's got the archers as well, so I can't just throw my lancers out in front and confront the warbands, because he can shoot them down. Right. Let's think about this. So we know we're moving forward on the left, so let's start doing that. Start with the easy decisions first, and that will also put some pressure on the skirmishers to come over and contest me here. What I should possibly consider doing is actually starting to move my line towards the right and aligning right. I do need to watch out though, because these irregular foot will be very vulnerable to arrow fire, so I need to keep them tucked behind my other units. because they can't fight well out in the open. However, they should start to move across the battlefield, and I think I need to try to aim to get them into the flank of a warband or something. Or maybe into the flanks of these noble lancers once they're engaged. Let's see. Using... I mean, that'd be noble lancer on noble lancer. That's risky at the moment. I don't want to commit to that. A better target with noble lancers would be his fierce nomad horse archers, I think. Mitanni again will be good flankers. Okay, at least until the moment of impact, my warbands need to protect my lancers, but I think eventually I'll be looking to use my lancers again to lock down his warbands. As for the cavalry battle, and the other thing is I don't want to get drawn into a battle on this hill if I'm going to be at disadvantage. Because even charging down, I suppose even charging downhill warbands wouldn't be a good matchup against lancers. But if his armored noble lancer charging downhill at us, we'll be in trouble. See, originally my plan was to break through on the flank, but he's massively strengthened that. I think come out as if we're going to come out to fight. But I think what I'm really planning on doing is turning tail and running back into the forest until my right flank is brought up. And I think I'll even strengthen that attack on the right flank by sending a unit of armored noble lancers across. So I'm only pretending to offer battle here. Okay, next turn. Right. My head was kind of in the clouds yesterday. I was feeling a bit out of sorts. So I think it's definitely time to review my strategy. I mean, moving over towards the right does make a degree of sense. If I can get my infantry in front of these lancer charges, then I can possibly make my cavalry attack more effective. What worries me is these archers. Unless I can make use of my own skirmishers effectively on the left, but the problem is his archers are supporting his more dangerous units. My units here are purely defensive. And the hill's also going to be a problem for my warbands and lancers. And he's shifting as well. And the problem with falling back into the forest is I could get trapped there. We're already almost within contact with these lancers, because 1, 2, 3, 4, they can be here next turn, right in front of our faces. So he's got a unit of lancers there, so we've got 4 units of lancers there. Well, my armoured noble lancers and expert armoured horse archers could help us contest this. I regret sending these guys off now. Right. So I'm going to try and surprise him, I think. Start bothering him with fire, try and put a little bit of pressure on. Normally a bit of a waste of ammo, but in this case, I think it's worth it. So my plan is actually to make a sudden shift towards the right with my cavalry while maintaining the screen here. Because if you look at this infantry, he's not actually got that much over here, it's only 7 units. So what I think I need to do is get my force concentration back over towards this side of the battlefield. Without disrupting my own formation too much. And also while protecting my troops from missile fire. It's going to be difficult. Right, swing the warbands out and to protect the army. They might get disrupted, they might even get charged, but I've got my cavalry waiting behind to protect them. And while the Limitani aren't too strong, they can probably deal with ordinary nomad horse archers. It's all about trying to shuffle strength over towards the right now. We're in a race to the right flank. Next turn. I kind of feel like Dan has my number already. And it just comes down to... I think I just haven't set up my armies well enough. It's a matter of time until we take a cohesion test. And of course we blow it immediately. And he's moving everything over to the right flank, and he's going to use his warbands to anchor the line. Oh, I made a terrible decision not withdrawing. I think I've lost this already, and it's only turn 3. Because those warbands now can't escape because the lancers are too close and they're armoured lancers to boot. And they'll be trying to advance the cavalry, they'll be moving into a hailstorm of fire, and most of my armies over here not doing anything. Right, let's do what we can with what we've got. This might be one of these battles that's basically decided at deployment. To already lose a warband unit like this is terrible. A really, really crushing blow to the army. And Dan's reacted so quickly by bringing all of this cavalry to bear. These units are behind rough ground, so I can't just run at them. Okay. And this veteran Roman cavalry just won't be able to fight these noble lancers. The veterans might be able to do it, but the Roman cavalry won't be able to. We've got nomad horse archers facing fierce nomad horse archers, armored noble. Well, this is at least okay, but they're blocked off. And if I try to charge forward to drive these archers off so my lancers can advance safely, then they've got the warbands standing on the hill threatening us. Let's see. These guys need to move towards the battlefield as fast as they possibly can. God, we're in a mess. Try and provoke a fight out here on the flat. Thing is, Legio Comitatenses are probably a poor choice against superior warbands. Noble Lancers. That could be a good choice. He's got even more armored noble. He's got his second unit of armored noble lancers there. Well, that at least means that we're going to arrive to help here. The thing is, because if I try to pull back, those warbands will probably panic. But the truth is, they're probably going to die anyway. So it doesn't really matter what I do. At least by not pulling back, he has to expend effort shooting at them. If I charge here, I'm throwing them away. But at least then he'll have to charge and his armoured lancers might end up pursuing into trouble. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. It's obviously suicide for the warband, but if he charges the warband, then these units will pursue, and they may pursue into an area of my line that they don't want to fight. And naturally, if I look at this, we have all these noble lancers behind supporting our line, so it's not as horrific as it looks. I might have panicked just a little bit. So let's see, they come forward and probably hit the warband here. We'll have to confront the armoured noble lancers. And we only have so much space here operating out on the edge of the map. But let's see, he has 1, 2, 3. He's got all of that coming round as well. No, keep them behind our warbands and heavy infantry, that's the point. If I could target the warbands, but I think this is going to be on top of us anyway, so we have to be prepared to fight this. Let's see. I think I'll back away for the minute. And we'll be prepared for these units to come forward, and we'll just have to fight them. No, he's got these units coming down the hill at us. So we'll have to try. We can't fight them on the hill. We have to try and catch them as they come off the hill to attack us. They can't back off because, again, those armoured noble lancers are in range of charge. So if I try and pull them back, they'll have to take a cohesion test. As much as I hate to say it, we're kind of stuck where we are. Rescue the general before we lose him. I need him to face the armoured noble lancers. Next turn. Back to the game where I regret multiple recent life choices. Oof, good manoeuvring. And he's really letting them have it. It has stopped his cavalry's movement over towards the right flank, though. Oh, clever. He's going to stop a chaotic retreat. No, or maybe not. Okay. Well, that obstructs him at least for a little while. Those light troops are really messing me up. Of course, the superior warband's now in range. Odds will be better if the superior warband charges us. Even in prolonged melee, it's not good. The warband's actually doing better than I thought they'd do against armoured noble lancers in melee while disrupted. Once again, I underestimate the warbands, despite constantly talking them up. So we're softened up here. I think the presence of my infantry is starting to have an effect, because I think Dan may be reluctant to approach my battle lines while I have my army, my infantry moving up close to him like this. Yeah, he's turned his entire cavalry force around to confront my infantry. I'm not sure that was the right thing to do. He might be better off just pressing his cavalry attack. But I'm hardly one to judge. I'm the one who seems to be fighting an uphill battle here now. Despite, in my opinion, nominally having the superior army. So the fact that I find myself in that position doesn't exactly speak volumes about my planning ability for armies like this. The idea is to get into a position where we can actually start firing back. Let's think about this. So he charges. Oh, he's charging at that angle anyway. What I could do is move. Of course, that means a warband would have to take a charge from a superior warband, and he has a general. He can always pop it over to the superior warband. Falling back is dangerous. That risks a cohesion test. The conventional thing to do would just be to stick a general in my legio comitatenses, but with the noble lancers there, that puts the warbands in danger. My Roman Auxilia Sagittariorum will be effective against his nomad horse archers if my Auxilia Palatina can keep them protected. But I'm just not set up well to take on these superior warband units. And the others are protected upon the hill. Oh God help me, I'm going to have to fall back. Wait, that wasn't a... How on earth were they not in charge range? I don't get that. I'm almost tempted to move back because I think it's a bug and I don't want to exploit it. But I don't know the rules well enough to say if it is a bug or not. Maybe there's something I don't understand. I don't know why those Legio Comitatenses didn't test their morale at that point. It's an odd one. because that was critical. That could have been a key disruption there. At any rate, we've extracted ourselves from the situation. Now that will be a cohesion test if this warband backs up, because they're clearly in range of the Lancers. And again, so should the... I don't get that. I don't understand why they didn't take a cohesion test. This might be a good time to move up the Noble Lancers to block the Superior Warband, because that would also force him to move his Noble Lancers over here in a rather awkward direction if he wanted to engage. And that might force his warbands down off this hill. But a better option would just be to try and wait until his army's forced to advance forward a little bit and then attack him. Let's see. We're still not particularly well set up for this. I suppose now that I have his infantry force under control, I could shift reinforcements over to help with the cavalry battle. With everything that's going on here, that might be a good option. The presence of the skirmishers is a pain. They could manage to disrupt any one of my units with the way they're arranged right now. It's just a shame we don't have skirmishers of our own. I'm sorry this is taking so long. It's a bit of a stressful one. And the fact that it's a league game doesn't make it any less so. Not that I should really care about such things, but I do. Right. If I do shift everything over, what effect will it have on the overall battle? Well, I'll be able to get these Lancers confronting his Lancers, which will also help me protect my nomad horse archers a little bit. So it'll be armoured Noble Lancers and armoured Noble Lancers. These units will be obstructed a little bit by the placement of certain units. In fact, this would be an excellent place for my general, I think. Or would it be? I think, yeah, because that warband is obstructing all kinds of soldiers right now, and it could force Dan to commit to an early charge. Okay. So now that we've locked down this situation, I'll begin to move my cavalry across. Let's see how this goes as well as a fragmentation. I think my warband did well to hold out as long as it did, honestly. I wonder. No, that's a bad idea. I'm trying to see if this unit breaks. That could lend itself that could lend itself to certain opportunities. Because if they charge forward and engage the wrong unit, then there could be a flanking line set up. I seriously need to go back to. I seriously feel like I need to go back to cavalry school sometimes. I'm not as confident using the cavalry as I am using the. I'm not as confident using the horses as I am using my other units. This kind of battle really isn't me in my element. Right, if we use this situation to cover our movement towards the right, at least we've got the expert armoured horse archers facing the nomads now. Although he's still going to get first strike in them. I feel like Dan is getting a lot more right about this battle compared to me right now. Can I possibly... No, I've been caught in a situation with Harvey before. Although, I'll assume that the Huns are going to stand off and fire because of fire. Because if they see if Dan sees my units hovering behind the lines, then he'll probably hang back and fire rather than charge through and risk getting flanked or driven off the field. Right. All very dangerous. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do with these units. Let's see. Because right now it's unit to unit, and I do actually outnumber the Huns here. But I need to use those numbers for something if I'm going to win the battle. These units do a fine job attacking here. I don't really know what to use these. As usual, the most difficult units to use are the ones that have the most limited number of uses. The Lumitani aren't good for much, except for absorbing arrow fire and just generally being disruptive. And if they can be used later on to distract the horse archers, then they can be of use. Stick my general on this unit because it's the most vulnerable. Next turn. That was a long one. Oh boy. Yes, yes, pull them out the way, please. Oh, well done. Come on, you're falling apart like nothing, you idiots. Oh no. Flaming cowards all. Oh, come on! Well, that evens things up. Surely we can't fail another cohesion test. You've got 3 cohesion tests and a double drop in a single turn of fire. On a list I just publicly wrote off as not being able to stand as being inferior to the Romans a moment ago. No wonder they ran away. Look how many of them are dead. Right, this is promising. I think Dan might have run himself into trouble here. Turn there to flank. And now this I maybe can do something with. It's going to take some courage though. So they protect that flank, and these units can now attack here. If we can break this unit and engage, then we might be able to do something with this. I mustn't charge here, otherwise I'll hit this unit in the flank, and then they won't turn. I need to flank with this unit here. That's critical. This fight here, I was hoping for a break there. We're actually shielded by his own archers to a certain extent. How bad is impact? Well, we would be in the we would actually have an advantage if we can win this fight. And those are just ordinary lancers, they're not armored noble lancers. If I'm quick, I can get around. Oh, Dan, you scared me here. I should have seen what the odds were there. Nothing good, I imagine. These units weren't jam-packed against one another. I could maybe slip them one unit back and move my fresh nomad horse archers in. But at the moment, all I can really do is stand off, which means a fragmentation is on the cards. He won't charge, he'll just stand off and fire because he has no reason to charge into this. I need to find a way to give him a reason to charge into combat. How bad is this? It will at least allow me to seal them off. Charge. That way only one of our units is in trouble. That is a disaster waiting to happen. I was hoping that they might charge the whole way through. See, he's got these horse archers here waiting though. I know, it's nuts. It's a morale bomb waiting to go off in my lines. But if I don't do something... The thing is, both of these units can still attack my nomad horse archers. What I can try to do is disrupt the noble lancers. Okay. So they've been softened up. And now that we've survived impact, I've got a 45% chance against these units now because they've been softened up with arrow fire. So we're losing this section here, but I might be able to win through. If only I could stop this from going wrong. We're winning in 2 sections here, but we're going to lose this section here. And I'm worried that these units will turn and flee. We've got a flank attack here. That's good, but these units here will probably get hit hard. Alright, I need to focus on the heavy battle here. Focus on knocking those archers out. Good. Rain the same kind of hell down on them. Alright. And then move forward to block it all. No, I've been hit with the blocking trick too many times now. I'm not going to have it happen to me again. They need to move up, and this unit needs to move up and turn to make sure that those nomad horse archers can't possibly get to my archers with a lucky charge. And we'll move up next turn to close them up further. So we're winning over here. This is actually going better than I thought it was going to be, but this situation is a potential disaster in the making. This unit turns around, fails to get away and breaks. These 2 units panic. This unit comes through and panic spreads all the way through my lines, and that's how we could end up losing this. Next turn. Here we go. Oh good, they didn't. Okay. That's a break. I saw the animation stop. At least our troops didn't panic, and that was a foolish decision by his horse archers. That's the other problem the Huns have. Their cavalry are a little bit too eager for horse archers. They seem to forget they're horse archers sometimes. One volley and we're out. Lots of aggression from Dan there. Cripes. And luckily they were superior troops, so they held out. Oh no! Oh goodness! Goodness gravy! Straight through my nomad horse archers. Exactly what I'm always afraid of. That's why you don't match lancers up against horse archers. It's what happens to them. But that situation, that situation is bad for Dan. Right, that's dangerous. See, I could launch a flank charge now. But it does leave... he's managed to close the flanks here, which means I'll be leaving the flanks of my armoured noble lancers open. It might still be worth it though, because there's 3 units of his army, of his soldiers on the line right now. I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to attack here. And that's a fragment. No, that's not a fragmentation, but they definitely have the advantage. Let's see. Why can't these units charge? Where the heck did they come from? Where did they come from? Did I not know what unit was mine again? Oh, this is getting embarrassing. Okay, so no flank attack there then. We are still winning that fight though, and actually I think I can add to the pressure. There we go. Interesting that he's still holding back with this warband. I wonder what he's afraid of here. Let's see what I can do with the situation. Move the Limitani up. Oh, and but keep the Auxilia Sagittariorum back, okay? Can we get a fragmentation? Nope. We can't even get out of the situation. They're going to die if they're left in that position. Good. I'm getting good luck here. Fortune favours the bold, it seems. God, that is 18% down already. Fight that round first. Now I could try and contain this by charging here, but 51% odds. I suppose it's better than being driven from the map, which is what will probably happen to us if we stay here, stay like this. Okay, we survived impact. And the fact that there's a melee on here should protect my flank from his noble lancers. So I think we can use this situation to try and anchor this area a little bit. It means we've got a 3-on-1 disadvantage, and this is not a good melee. But I can control the situation, hopefully until this unit comes back. Of course, I've only got until this unit circles round and hits us in the rear. So I need these units to win quickly. And I also need to make use of this situation here, I think. The warband frightens me. There's no other way around. There's no other way around it but saying that. Shame I couldn't turn to face, because we're going to take another point-blank volley from these archers. Give them the general, at least then they have a better chance of maintaining their cohesion. At least they can't charge very easily because of the presence of my other units. They can charge with this unit, but not with this unit. Right. Next turn. Uh-oh. You guys evade anything? Okay, that was good. We really, really needed that. For a second there I thought they could charge, but then remembered they'd move to get to that position. Got me with that corner charge. And they are likely to give as well. Yep. I can almost sense it coming. That rout that happens with that instant. I guess we're 2 for 2 in generals then. God, we're 22% of our force down already. 22% and I haven't got a single point yet. Oh, great. Wait, where did all that fire come from? Was that just from 2 units? Okay, that helps. Hopefully the counterattack starts here because so far this has been a prolonged episode of Dan kicking me around the board. And they're going to get flanked then. What about here? Let's start with what we're most afraid of. Okay, now charge here. Do not bounce off. Now we can get the flank attack. Alright. That's something. The superior troops holding on. Yeah, you're not backing off that easily. Come back here. Right. Okay, they're going down. Now if I turn and let's see, what's the situation like here? Not great, but at least we're holding. Alright, make the charge here and hopefully... Yes! That's a disruption. Sheer luck. Let's take a moment to consider everything that Dan got right. He charged a hole through my line and broke a unit of my fierce nomad archers. He used light troops to shoot up one of my warbands to the point where I had to charge it out in a suicide attack. He weighted his cavalry in such a way that he attacked where I thought I was going to be strongest. And he managed to basically isolate my medium troops in such a way that they had to work hard just to contribute to the battle. I think the only mistake I would argue he might have made was he was bringing his these troops back over here, because he could have just ignored all of this and sent even more troops over to here. But of course if he can make progress here, that might not have been a mistake. He's certainly done a number of my light troops. I still can't move because these warbands are waiting on the hill. Maybe there is something I can do. No, they'll just turn around. As I don't think I'm winning a missile fight like this. Lock them in because they can't charge us, and But I am worried that those fierce nomad horse archers can hit us in the flank and disrupt us and fragment us. If we're going to charge and try and clear away the missile troops, it's probably better off done with the Limitani. And then they have to spend time turning around. That takes some of the fire off for Auxilia Palatina, even if it's just temporarily. At least they're low in ammo now. Next turn. We are eventually going to lose that contest. But hopefully this breakthrough here will help immensely. I think I might be able to drive them into the horse archers next turn. Right. Great. Well, that should help to turn things around at the switch. But we might actually be able to thunder through this entire line if we're lucky with the way the routes work out. Excellent. I need to take advantage of the situation in the centre before Dan can get back and protect the flanks, but I think that's what's going to happen because his units have broken all the way through here. Okay. Good. Excellent. And they should engage the Lancers now. Brilliant. Now, if we can just get these armoured noble lancers to turn around and engage these battered noble lancers, or even just let time take its toll, then we may be able to do something with all of that. I can turn these units around now to help. They're disrupted, but maybe they can do something. It depends whether this unit can hold on. It holds on. I think I can get them back into the back of the enemy line. They're low in ammo now, but they aren't. We need to just hold our ground for the minute. So that's the threat he needs to respond to now, but if he tries to engage my lancers, I can go after the Roman cavalry from the rear. And my armoured noble lancers are also threatening these noble lancers here. So I have in quite a difficult position in that respect. Right, let's see, they are over here. Let's see what happens here. I'm hoping to thunder all the way through his line and into the backs of the superior warbands. Brilliant. And that's another rear charge going through. Absolutely wonderful. And I think that's turned the battle around at a stroke. Okay. And if I can push these units through on this line here, then yep, It's exactly what I was hoping for. And the archers are now free to move up and threaten the horse archers here. Though they are running low on ammo. So that's beaten up Dan's forces quite a lot now. The Huns are struggling at this point. This does relate to what I often see in Hunnic warfare. They're very, very powerful at the start of the battle, but as the battle runs on, they start to run into more and more problems. I'll turn them back towards this side of the battlefield so I have more reinforcements over here. I think I have enough troops here to help. See, this unit's just broken off, so we can't do anything with it. I think these troops are just going to have to remain where they are. I'll let them general up as they're going to take quite a bit of missile fire. There's not a lot our defensive troops can do except to drop in a defensive line. I need to be careful moving up because anywhere I move up, the warbands might decide to move and engage my infantry. So I need to be a little bit careful. I am actually somewhat worried about this situation here. But we'll see what happens next. Next turn. So things have swung my way at this point. It's not over yet, but that was a terrible turn for the Romans. And it came down to the behavior, not for the Huns rather, and it came down to the behavior of those fierce nomad or horse archers, all piling into that one unit of lancers. Unfortunate for Dan there. And of course, now that we are in melee, my veteran horse can begin to get the upper hand. My warband held firm again. And I think at this point it's over. I can't see a way back for the Huns at this point. But that had me on the ropes for a second. I thought, for a heart-stopping moment, I thought I was going to lose this match. Just from the sheer weight of those lancers bearing down upon me. And the concentration of cavalry on that right flank, but the medium cavalry have held up much better than expected, and aside from a few of my horse archers getting turned into lancer fodder, we've done okay. Okay, so more or less even here. Let's resolve this fragmentation. And the one we're afraid of, they stand. And that's a dead heat though, it's starting to swing towards, he's going to hit me in the back. Well, I'll have my horse archers ready to flank one of these two units. Might possibly be able to do something with this. Nope. I was hoping I might be able to pursue and somehow block the fierce nomad horse archers, or at least get ready for a counter charge of my own, but that didn't really get us too much further forward. Well, good placement of those nomad horse archers, because of course now I can't advance after the noble lancers. But I should go flying into them next turn anyway once those light archers are out. Okay, that helps. Though we're about to get hit by these warbands. The impact's not actually that bad. If I give them a general, I'm surprised how well the Auxilia Palatina hold up in the face of a warband charge. So that should give me the time to start to get around the flanks of the warbands. And I could, let's see, what I want to know is what happens here once these units break. Oh, okay, if they break. Can't get rid of them just yet. Let's see. Want to turn around like that, or do I just want to... I think I'll turn around like that just in case I need to offer another shock charge to get them to actually flee, because they are a priority target. I'm aware of these units here, but I need to break this lot. It's creating a massive traffic jam. What I could do is try to charge here, pin these warbands down, and then try and flank in with the Auxilia Palatina. I am worried about this unit of horse archers which I've left to my back, because they, if I'm not careful, they could conceivably get into the back of something, but I think it'll take them too long to turn around. But that would be a massive disadvantage for my Legio Comitatus. I don't think the situation warrants taking emergency actions like that. We've got the upper hand, there's no need to hasten things on. This is going to be painful and we might lose that unit, but other than that I think we're wrapping things up now. Next turn. So Dan is saying that stung a bit, and that's one of the reasons I haven't been speaking much to him in chat, because I know he's come all the way to basically the finals of this tournament, and things have gone against him in this last battle. He's played very well swinging that army through to the side, and he might win the mirror to this match, where I'm under quite a lot of pressure as the Huns. We'll see what happens here. And we're fragmented. Do we hold? We hold, so I'll get the flank attack there on his vulnerable unit. Might get a chance to rescue the situation. It does sting. I mean, it stings to lose in a tournament setting. It especially stings to lose a final. I do want to acknowledge that he played extremely well here. He just got a little bit unlucky, and he could have won. He just got a little bit unlucky with the decision making of his fierce nomad horse archers, because that could easily have gone the other way. It could have been my entire cavalry line which could have dissolved. Okay, I'll be back. Sorry folks, I was off getting my dinner. Let's continue. I was hoping to knock them off the field this turn, because this situation is pretty bad. We hope. Okay, so this is all going now. So I need to either charge in here and save this unit if we can, or charge in here and save this unit. I think it'll have to be this unit. Cannot get rid of them, can I? There's a chance we could lose impact here. We didn't. But we could lose. That went about as badly as it could have for me there, but Dan definitely needs the help with that. Breathes new life into this flank. It just goes to show, however bad things look, don't give up. We're actually losing this now because of these superior light horse. I was hoping it would go the other way and I just sweep everything aside here, but that's not what's happened. I'm back in real trouble on that flank now. Well, I can take this unit at least, unless of course we lose here as well. Right. But that was a very bad turn for me over there. Really did quite a lot to undermine the advantage I've gained throughout the fight. I will press and try and get around the flanks here. Right. And that should be a flank attack set up now. And we're circling around to hit this unit as well. I'll need to drive them out the way. This is worrying. I need to bring my regular foot back down because those... in fact, just ignore them for now and start to move on because... Obviously the situation's winding down now anyway. I guess we'll move towards this situation. Start to circle around to threaten the warband. I'm not going to charge in here because if I can still flank this square, so I can threaten the... Oh wait, no. Problem is, if I move here, I could end up trapping my lancers in combat with a warband on high ground. Now, I suppose that wouldn't be too bad actually. If I give them the general, they can run through here, and they'll probably end up in a fight with the warband, but then I can just outflank them, so that's fine. So I couldn't quite wrap things up this turn. Things are in hand here. I think with the developing situation over here, I have to send my noble lancers to help, because we need more resources over here. Though really, these guys are too far away to help at this point. And I might be better off actually just send... I think I'll just send my lancers on to confront these nomad horse archers. Next turn. It looks like this is going to go on a little bit longer. Yep. Oh dear. Oh no! They'll pursue the archers. The Lightfoot get under my feet again. So I'm going to lose 2 more units. Right, let that go through. There are enclosures around there which will make it difficult for the nomad horse archers to charge my cavalry. Well, I can block that. Probably makes sense given the circumstances. Let's see. I think these lancers are going after the... they're still pursuing, that's the only thing. So I can't just move up recklessly. Right, I suppose what I can do is try and get up onto the hill now. Keep them back as a spare. There we go. Well done, morons. You were supposed to move up, and we're supposed to just move up, not actually engage. Right, launch a flank attack here. Small risk those lancers could rally up and get to our flanks before we break the lancers. Yeah, I knew that was just from casualties. No cohesion drop. Right, we'll block with the Auxilia Palatina, and we will engage with the Limitani. That's only a disruption at the moment. Having quite a bit of trouble finishing this Hunnic army off. We need to turn around and defend our flanks here, which I can't keep safe forever. Dan is eventually going to get through if we don't sort this out quickly. I need to end the battle. Right, this is all a mess now, and to make matters even worse, we managed. Well, we wouldn't have fallen back anyway, because we can't fall back from light cavalry. It can fall back from us. Yep. So we lose the Roman cavalry, and we'll lose our nomad horse archers as well. And it's just the way the situation evolved. I could have broken the entire thing wide open, but in the end, that's just how it went. Next, oh yeah, and I've still got this, so we should get out of this situation because my horse archers are at a disadvantage against those fierce nomad light horse archers. Oh goodness, and we're very close to auto-breaking. Right, the sooner I can end this battle, the better, because the longer it goes on, the more things are going to go badly for me. Next turn. With a bit of luck, we might end it this turn. Oh, could we get another bonus route? Yep, that will. Well, it does mean that I don't have my lancers available for fighting this warband. Yeah, there we go. Hindsight, it would have been better if I had tried not to rescue the situation. Okay. Now, depending on which way these units run, this could be interesting. Wrong place to be standing. Fortunately, it means his cavalry evaded me this turn. But it does mean I'm set up to flank the warband next turn. So that's almost a guaranteed rout at this point. Right. Now, if I don't end this soon, I'm not even going to win by a margin of 25%, which is kind of the standard. So I need to hurry up now. Oh, I have terrible luck with pursuits. Right. Every time I try and set up something like that, it doesn't quite seem to work out the way I want it to. They either run too far, or they don't run far enough. Let's see. Do I want to take this? Because no, that wouldn't work because they are in a position to keep running away. I wouldn't get the flank attack. Oh, that is so annoying. Alright, do we sweep them off the hill? Nope. Do we now? Yes, we do. Okay. Oh, they didn't proceed. But that is a perfect position for a flank attack now. Move up and try to bring down those Archers. Also bring in this unit to support. We are slowly grinding them down. And now, can we finish this unit off this turn? We need to push them into a double drop for it to work. Couldn't do it. Okay. So, I couldn't finish the battle this turn, so my priority becomes simply trying to keep my own units alive and making sure Dan can't get any extra routes. Right, that means staying the heck away from these noble lancers. And also not getting driven off the map. And these guys, we should probably just avoid these units. Other than that, I think the battle should end next turn on Dan's turn when this warband cracks. And that will give me a respectable, if not crushing, victory here. Which should... It may not... Yeah, the thing is, obviously, it may not be enough to give me the score needed to win the tournament, even if I can win in the other battle, but it's still a decent victory. You generally want to win by the largest margin possible, because that gives you the most points in the tournament. Next turn. Oh no! Who rallied? Darn, just when I was about to finish things off. I would have ended it right there and then. Alright, got 2 units back. Okay, well this could still pose opportunities for me. If I can now route 2 units to end the battle. Also means these units have to survive for longer. Ah, cursed light horse, go away! And they managed to hold me in melee for another turn. Very frustrating. Well, they're not going any further in this direction. Not unless they rally up. And I will get them next turn. In fact, I really want to get that unit. But I don't want to break any of his units just now. It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation at the moment, because if I try to charge forward, then they may well evade, may get caught in the back, and that could end the battle here. But if I delay, then it's definitely not going to happen, because they'll... So let's try and catch them, hope they fragment. Couldn't catch them. And I don't have any cavalry in a position where they can move off to attack any of the other units. This will just get me caught. So unfortunately it looks like that's the end of the battle as far as I'm concerned. Well, let's see if we can finish it this turn. The Limitani didn't go far enough. Okay, well we'll get them next turn. One way or another. Next turn. We'll just... Oh! You've got to laugh. At the very end of the battle, my Commander-in-Chief falls. Well, that's good news for me, because it means I get a little bit of extra route percentage. Obviously, it doesn't change the course of the battle this time, and also importantly, it doesn't affect Dan's score. But it does mean I get a few extra points for the end of the battle. Okay, and force them off. So close. We were a square away from hitting them there. And our warbands can just turn to face and prepare to take this Lancer charge. So we do have the cavalry here, so we've cut them off, and this unit is safely locked down. Can turn to fire here. Okay. That was definitely one of the scarier matches I'd been in for a while. Next turn. And so it comes to a close. Alright, well, let's talk about that, shall we? So Dan did the right thing by concentrating his cavalry power on this flank. He could maybe have gotten a little bit more force concentration by bringing over the horse archers, but I think he really he had the better strategy there. My forces were all spread out here. I could barely use these medium infantry for a large part of the fight, and if he hadn't brought these units back to try and confront my medium foot, then I would have had nothing to attack at all, and he could possibly have brought in reinforcements to help in this situation here. He got very unlucky that his fierce nomad horse archers piled in against my lancers and disrupted themselves, and that allowed me to get a countercharge. He actually broke through my line, but he wasn't able, and he had good matchups, but I had good luck in the dice rolls, and once again it was the flank attacks that counted in the end. He wasn't able to break through here in time, and that was just sheer luck. And the fact that I was able to wrap up all of this in a neat little line, and it didn't have to go that way. It was just the way the charge unfolded. So Dan, I actually thought he played a better game, even though I won in the end. I shouldn't have put my troops over here. They should have been more concentrated. Either I should have had some mobile elements over here, some cavalry, so that they can move over more aggressively, maybe threaten the flanks of the warbands, and actually forced him to bring some cavalry back, because he didn't have to turn around and face these troops at all. He could have just moved on and attacked here, and the warbands, until the situation here undermined them, those warbands would have held fine against my infantry. They could have held out until Dan had won this flank, and then cavalry could have come to help. But very good game to Dan. I thank him again for playing. Hope to play him again in the future, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he does in the next tournament season. And yeah, everyone, I've been Napoleon Complex. Please consider liking and subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed the content, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell, and let's have a look at the end screen.